All right, so we are out in Florida and I'm about to go shoot some GoPro content. I'm gonna hop in the tube and we're gonna go have some fun. But in the meantime, I thought I would share with you guys my GoPro Hero 12, how I set up the camera and what I like to do. So with that said, let's get into it. Inside my little GoPro case here, I've got my main camera, which is the Hero 12. And right now I've got an Indy 8 on there from Polar Pro. I'll get into that in just a second. I've got a couple, I've actually got another Hero 12 because you just never know what's gonna happen out here. You might, hopefully you don't lose one, but you might lose one. So got a backup, and I've got the Max Lens mod, which we won't go into today. I've got some other tutorials on that if you wanna check those out. Got some comparisons on riding mountain bikes and stuff. We'll do another tutorial on that another day. But for today, we've got the Hero 12 with the Polar Pro Indy 8. And what that does is here's the standard GoPro filter, if you will, lens protector, and that is just clear. And with an ND filter, with the Polar Pro option that I have here, you've got different options. So we got the ND 16 and 32. So each one of these is gonna get a little bit darker and block out more and more light. And why would you wanna block out light? Well, a lot of people complain when you get GoPro footage that it maybe looks a little too GoPro-y. There's no motion blur, which I've talked about in other tutorials with you guys. You want a little bit of that motion blur, especially when shooting video footage, and having, for lack of better terms, sunglasses for your camera will allow for the shutter speed to be a little bit slower, allowing for motion blur, creating a more professional look to your footage. And so that is what I like to do first out of the gate, is slap an ND filter on there. I could probably go darker, but with this, I still want some stabilization. When I'm shooting in the water, I like to have my screen locked, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Is you swipe down and you set the lock function, because what can happen is if water droplets get on there, it can mess with your settings and do weird stuff. So always lock it, and that way it doesn't actually get bumped, but for tutorial sake, I will turn that off. And then I've got a bunch of presets made. So I've got, you know, custom 3, custom 2, but for this, I've got a preset called Epic, which I'm gonna shoot in 4K. I have it, you can choose standard, HDR, or log. And for this, I've got it in log, which means it's gonna shoot a flatter picture profile, and I can match it to other cameras a little bit more easily. There's a lot more dynamic range and colors and all that cool stuff that I can pull out of the footage to make it look more professional. I'm gonna shoot in 4K, 16:9, and you might be asking, why don't you use the 8:7? Well, that is because I like to shoot at 120 frames per second with a wide angle lens. I have my hyper smooth on. I'm shooting in GP log, which will give you limited camera controls in some capacity, so I don't have EV comp. I could set my shutter specifically if I wanted to, especially with an ND filter, but I actually leave that on auto, and then I just leave my ISO on a minimum of 100, a maximum of 400, and that way the camera can make its changes, because I'm gonna be flopping around in a tube trying to just make sure to get the shot. I keep my sharpness on low. And that's my video settings. It's pretty simple, but that's how I shoot my GoPro footage. Other than that, I just put it on this little pole here, and it floats. Sometimes I have a floaty if I'm getting real dangerous and I feel like it might be able to come off or break off, but this little guy floats. Tighten up around my wrist. And being a wide angle lens, as long as you point at the rider, it's gonna look sick and it's gonna be right in frame. And even if it goes a little bit out, that means you got pretty close. So anyway, get out there and get some cool GoPro shots. We're gonna see you in another video. Thanks for watching.